How could a science fiction show go so horribly wrong with the icons of the genre, Harlan Ellison, Ben Bova, Douglas Trumball, and actor Keir Dullea from 2001 A Space Odyssey involved in its creation? That's up next. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Make Me Watch That. Before we begin, please subscribe to my channel, ring the bell to stay informed, and I'd love to hear your opinion of this show in the comments section below. Now, you'd think that the talents of writer Harlan Ellison, producer and special effects mogul Douglas Trumball, science advisor Ben Bova, and actor Keir Dullea would produce a guaranteed hit sci-fi TV show.
Earthship Ark, man's greatest and final achievement, out of control.
So what happened to the Starlost? Keir Dullea was a big name among sci-fi fans at the time for his performance in 2001 A Space Odyssey. In the days before Star Wars, science fiction was a risky investment, but since Star Trek proved to be a viable product after only 3 years on television, and despite only being on a short time, it didn't die a cruel death. Television producers were anxious to repeat the formula that made Star Trek such a success. 2 years before Space 1999 went after the Star Trek crowd, Canadian television's Glen Warren Productions attempted to reach that crowd with this 16-episode series. They pulled out all the stops. They hired Harlan Ellison as writer and Douglas Trumbull to supervise the special effects and produce, with Ben Bova as a science advisor. Ellison had written one of Star Trek's most popular episodes in City on the Edge of Forever, not to mention 2 of the Outer Limits' most celebrated episodes in Soldier and Demon with a Glass Hand. Then we find Douglas Trumbull on board, whose work in science fiction productions included 2001 A Space Odyssey, To the Moon and Beyond, The Andromeda Strain, and Silent Running. They also found a talented actor with a science fiction background as the series lead, Keir Dullea, who plays Devon. All this, and a unique premise that hadn't been done before on television, should have led to the show being a massive hit. But, alas, it wasn't to be. It should be noted that the original script by Harlan Ellison was well received. In 1974, Ellison received a Writers Guild of America award for Best Original Screenplay for the script. The pilot script is originally written, not the version that was filmed. A novelization of this script by Edward Bryant, Phoenix Without Ashes, was published in 1975. This contained a lengthy foreword by Ellison himself describing what had gone wrong in production. In 2010, the novel was adapted into comic book format by IDW Publishing. The premise: foreseeing the destruction of Earth, humanity builds a multi-generational ship called Earthship Ark.
We may be the first living beings here in 400 years.
The ship contains dozens of biospheres, housing people of different cultures. Their goal is to find and seed a new world of a distant star. In 2385, more than 100 years into the voyage, an accident occurs and the ship goes into emergency mode, whereby each biosphere is sealed off from the others. 405 years after the accident, Devon, a resident of Cypress Corners, discovers the world is far larger and more mysterious than he had realized. Considered an outcast because of his questioning of the way things are, especially his refusal to accept the arranged marriage of his love Rachel to his friend Garth, Devon finds out that the Cypress Corners elders have been deliberately manipulating the local computer terminal, which they call the voice of the creator.
And your manner is noxious, hear me say it, your manner is noxious as water drawn from the waste conduits. Therefore, your genetic rating is unsuitable.
The congregation pursues Devon for attacking the elders. Its leaders plot to execute him, but the elderly Abraham, who also questions the elders, gives Devon a key to the dark, mysterious doorway, which Abraham himself is afraid to enter. The frightened Devon escapes into the service areas of the ship and accesses a computer data station that explains the nature and purpose of the Ark and hints at its problems. When Devon returns to Cypress Corners to tell what he has learned, he is put on trial for heresy. Escaping the night before his execution with the aid of Garth and Rachel, they make their way to the ship's bridge containing the remains of its crew. It's badly damaged and the control systems are inoperative. The 3 discover that the Ark is on a collision course with a Class G star similar to the Sun and realize that the only way to save the Ark and its passengers is to find the backup bridge at the other end of the Ark and reactivate the navigation and propulsion systems.
You are the voice of the creator.
The production company made so many changes to the original script that Ellison became so unsatisfied, as he usually did in these cases, that he had them use his pseudonym, Cordwainer Bird, in the credits. Ellison was originally approached by Robert Klein, not the actor Robert Klein, a 20th Century Fox television producer, to come up with an idea for a science fiction TV series consisting of 8 episodes to pitch to the BBC as a co-production in February '73. The BBC rejected the idea, and unable to sell the Starlost for prime time, Klein decided to pursue a low-budget approach and produce it for syndication. By May, Klein had sold the idea to 48 NBC stations and the Canadian CTV network. Douglas Trumball came up with a new special effects idea called Magicam, whose diagram is seen here. The system comprised 2 cameras whose motion was servo-controlled. One camera would film actors against a blue screen, while the other would shoot a model background. The motion of both cameras was synchronized and scaled appropriately, allowing both the camera and the actors to move through model sets. The technology did not work reliable, and in the end, simple blue screen effects were used, forcing static camera shots, and the production values were horrid. The sets used were too small for this vast project, and only partial sets were built. The failure of Magicam hindered production. Harlan Ellison had difficulty in developing his ideas, as a writer's strike at the time made it even more difficult. According to his contract, he was to write outlines and TV writers were to complete the scripts, but top talent wasn't available to work on the show because of the strike, which led to inferior scripts. And thus, the mess that became Starlost was destined to fail. That's the story of the Starlost, my friends, and that's all the time we have. If you're interested in seeing more episodes of the Starlost, they are available on YouTube. Until next time, this is Kevin Gibbons saying so long, live long and prosper, may the force be with you, keep reading comics, listening to rock and roll, and watching the pop culture icons. And I want to remind you that if you love comics and pop culture as much as I do, you'll subscribe to my channel and ring the bell to stay informed of upcoming videos. Please share this video, as that will help me gain subscribers as well. I also want to remind you to check out my columns and reviews on 2 sites, Comics for Sinners and Comic Crusaders. I also have my own franchises, Adolescent Radioactive Samurai Platypi and Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter. The latter has been picked up by Cutthroat Comics. Check the links below for more details and the link to Dracula Rising, which is available on Amazon. Here's some great artwork from Raphael Lanohouse from the origin story Foul Blood. Once again, available on Cutthroat Comics. See the links below. I also have a book which is a collection of my reviews and columns called Comics, Pop Culture, and Politics. You can also find t-shirts and posters on Teespring. Again, check the links below for all Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter merchandise.